What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about in the vlog corporate America and the type of crap that's going on with these major corporations and us as employees. And I didn't really plan on doing a video like this, but then we just kind of had some crap happen at work last week that just kind of really ticked me off, and I felt like I would put a little video together and you let me know what you think. So let's get into this and you let me know what you think.
Hey, next time you think about going above and beyond for your job or skipping out on life to work extra hours and be more productive, I want you to remember that these companies, these corporations, do not care about you. Wells Fargo employee clocked in on a Friday, died in her cubicle, and was not found for 4 days. Not only will these companies pay you barely livable wages, but they will literally work you to death and not care that you died on company time. And this woman's job will be posted for someone else to fill by next week.
Kind of crazy, right? Could you imagine that you clocked in, you had a coworker clock in and go to work, and they ended up dying there and you found them 4 days later? I mean, that is just insane. That's just insane that that would happen. So it's kind of like, what do we call it, corporate culture, how a lot of these major corporations are all about, we want to have the right culture, we want to have this family environment to where we all just get along and we all love one another, and kumbaya, right? So I don't think it's possible anymore. I mean, I think back at being 50 years old, and I would say that our parents were maybe the ones that had to endure the most. I mean, obviously in the 70s and 80s, and probably still to this day when my mom worked, there was sexism, and I get that there was a lot of things that happened back then that it's probably not good that it happens at work anymore. But these companies seem so hell-bent on making everybody happy. I understand you should get a fair wage, and I'm going to do another video on that in the future, probably next week. But even then, they're so busy trying to make everybody happy, I think, really to protect their ass. You know, they don't want to get a lawsuit or anything like that. But, you know, you're not going to be able to please everybody. But trying to do what they're doing the way that they're doing it in 2024 just doesn't seem to be working anymore. We've endured it, and yeah, it's easy to say, well, you know, well, we're Gen X and we're hardcore and we just deal with it. Yeah, I'd say that's probably why, you know, most boomers are alcoholics. You know, they drank all the time just to deal with the fact that they had to work, they took care of a family, raised kids. I'm not saying they complained about it, but I'm sure there was some self-medicating that went on very often doing that. And I work for a major billion-dollar-a-year company. I'm actually happy with my job. I'll get into that, what I do here in just a little bit. But I do see that. I see employee handbooks. I see all of these emails, these little things that we have to watch on TV or on a laptop for training and all that type of stuff, all to just enhance the corporate culture. You know, company barbecues and this appreciation week and that appreciation week. You know, the question is, does it really help? Because I don't know about your industry, but in ours, we lose people all the time, and we lose really good people to other companies that are willing to pay them more. This lady here kind of has a good point.
I feel like corporate America tries to make it seem like their company is just full of thought leaders and geniuses, and you have to do so many interviews to get in.
She pointed out something really funny, actually, because the system of capitalism we have going on in these big, like, elitist corporate offices right now is kind of ironic. Because essentially they've built this whole facade to convince people of mid-tier intelligence that they're super important and happy at the company so that they don't leave or ask for any more. As someone who's kind of worked in both HR and marketing, I've seen both sides of the coin here. When you work in marketing, like half of your job is going after like fake made up accolades to make everyone seem really important and really happy and boosting everyone's ego to make them think they're really important at the company and they want to stay. And when you work in HR, for lack of a better way to phrase it, you specifically look for people who are easily brainwashed.
So easily brainwashed, right? It's very interesting. She did marketing and she did HR to some capacity. And so you have to market the company that we're just this amazing company to work for. Oh, everybody loves it. It's just so wonderful. But then you also need somebody that is, as she said, mid-level intelligence, mid-tier intelligence, that's going to buy it and be rah-rah, because, you know, long gone are the days where we got pensions. I've never worked for anybody where we got a pension. And so I've never been a federal or government employee, because that's how you kind of get them nowadays. So I've never done that to where, and then I don't even know if people even work towards that anymore, if they wind up, if companies don't even do them anymore, or like this one company in San Antonio did, just wait till a couple of years before you're supposed to get it, and then they just do a round of layoffs for that. But to get into like what I do, I'm in outside sales. So I'm a 100% commission sales rep. And I would say that if, you know, all of these issues that people are having in corporate America right now with their jobs, I would really push people into doing commission sales. Now, obviously, it depends on what you sell. You know, you just can't, you know, sell everything. You know, I think the car market's crazy, and you have people that make pretty good money doing that. That's a whole nother story. I happen to sell facility supplies, janitorial supplies, or what I like to tell people, I sell toilet paper. And commercially to schools, hospitals, private companies, manufacturing plants, packaging, and stuff like that. I've been doing it since 1999, and I absolutely love what I do. But because I'm a 100% commission sales rep, I am subject to rules and stuff like that. However, I make my own schedule. I mean, it's an 8 to 5. However, I'm not clocking in, I'm not clocking out, I'm not being told what to do, where to go, because I make my own money. Now, I also have goals that I have to hit, and I hit those goals because if I didn't, then, you know, I used to think that they would never fire a 100% commission sales rep, but I would be wrong, because they just fired one last week. This individual wasn't hitting their numbers. However, you're still not costing the company anything, but you know, they decided to do that. So I was a little surprised on that. I think it was probably to shake it up a little bit. But the corporate culture that we're talking about here, the rah-rah is kind of needed at some point, because in my job, you know, we're like cogs in a wheel. You know, the sales rep's the person that's the face of the company, the face of the product. And I would say even our drivers, because they're really the last ones to drop off the product. But you know, if we get somebody that's in customer service that doesn't do their job right, and we get somebody in the warehouse that doesn't pull the product right, and we get a driver that doesn't deliver the product right, there's only one person that's affected by that in their paycheck, and that's the sales rep. That customer service person, that warehouse guy, and that driver, they all still get paid the same whether we lose an account or not. So it's hard nowadays, especially in the industry, number one, to try to make these people happy. We all know that the wages are absolute shit right now, at least for hourly jobs. As if you remember in my last vlog, I showed in 1986 or 87, I think it was, what my mom was making. She was making $10 an hour back then, which is 28 and some change now. So just round up to $30 an hour. Now you can live, at least in San Antonio, you can live all right and okay if you're not in debt and you have all these bills. You can live pretty good on $30 an hour. But if you're making $10 an hour right now in 2024, there's no way in hell you can live, not with the inflation the way that it is. And again, that's why I'm going to do a video on that in the future, because it's just something crazy. So you see a lot of Gen Z TikToks and Instagram reels and stuff like that, and millennials that are complaining about it. And I know, unfortunately, people from our generation are just attacking them, that they're whiny and crybabies. Some of them are, don't get me wrong. But, you know, mainly they're talking about working their asses off for $15 an hour and not being able to pay rent, or having 4 roommates, when honestly, when we were that age in 1992, 93, when I was out on my own, I was making, I think, $18,000 a year at a job and was able to buy a house with that. Wasn't an amazing house, but it was a house. I bought a house at 19 years old. Who can do that today? Making $18,000 a year. So the spreads are just insane. We can say suck it up, excuse me, and work harder and have a great attitude. But at the end of the day, the paychecks, the amount of money that they're making just isn't there. Like my daughter, she's 21, and she was just being overworked and treated like shit on the job at this salon where she cut hair. And she's just like, we don't give a shit. We're not going to put up with this anymore. We're not going to be like you, Dad. We're not going to be like you, Grandma, that just suffered and endured, where we're just going to go elsewhere. Now, again, she's a good saver. She's got, money saved up, so she's able to do that. But I think companies are going to start realizing that, they're not going to be able to keep people if they continue to treat them this way. So sorry for the little rant, but this situation last week with, number one, the firing of an employee, and then I'll talk about it, this next little situation that happened after we watched this video.
1 year ago, I left corporate for good, and here is more of what I've learned. They do not want top performers. They want mediocre people. They want to reel in top performers in the beginning, but then they want to smash you down and make you conform to be just as average and normal as possible because you have to serve this giant machine. That's why in the beginning, in the interview process, they want all of your ideas. They're encouraging you to say, oh, we really want to make change in the organization, and we really want people that are going to really make a difference here. But then when you actually get into the role, they get annoyed if you try to improve things. You become a nuisance if you're pointing out things that could be better, even though we should be making places better. Not only that, you become a target when you're a high performer for all of the insecure people that are in the organization. You're going to have peers that can't stand it. And God forbid you have a boss that's insecure and feels like you're outperforming them. They will ruin your life.
Okay, so you've seen that, you heard that, right? So the one thing about my job is my boss doesn't get upset if you're overachiever, because they have bonus structures as branch managers to make more money. So the better we perform, the more money they make, not just off of sales, but off of product that sits on the floor. If we have a turn and earn, it gets out of there real soon. So I don't have that issue. But we do have certain people in companies that get jealous, because most salespeople make more money than most of the other people that are in the office. But then we take the most risk in the sense that if we don't make a sale, we don't make any money. But as for what she said regarding, they want you to be a top performer, you want you to do all this, but then they don't reward you with it. And then another example is we have an individual, which surprisingly is a young Gen Z in her early 20s. And when you talk to her personally, she's young and naive and goofy. She's the one I mentioned a couple months ago in my video that she didn't know how to fill out a check, because why should she? She's 23 or 24, never needed to do a check before. But as for her work ethic, it was absolutely amazing. She showed up, she did a wonderful job, and she put in her 2 weeks. And so why? Because she's able to go somewhere else and get paid more money for actually less hours. Very frustrating, because again, we need those cogs in the wheel to work well together, which means now we have a temp coming in, and now there's going to be a learning curve, and who knows, that temp might be great and then eventually get hired on. But it's a process. We keep getting good people. They overperform, right? And I use that in a great way. They do more than what's expected of them. But then after a while, they realize, well, wait a minute, I'm not getting paid for my efforts. And then they go out and they look and they see that somebody else is willing to pay them more for less. And so we've essentially, in most industries, we've trained our competition. So in a way that trickles down to us, to where now there could be missed orders. There's going to be, stuff entered into the system wrong. So I guess where my frustration's at is they never asked her if they could match it. They didn't look at it like, well, she's just replaceable, we'll go get somebody else, when she adds so much value to our jobs and at a company level. But I don't know, you tell me, comment below, is that considered appreciation or our lack of appreciation? Or is it just a plethora of people out there ready to go and do that work for, and I honestly don't know what they get paid per hour. Again, in San Antonio, cost of living, depending on where you live, is not that expensive. Again, the average house is, under 300,000 when, up north past Dallas, you're at 400,000 or 500,000. Now, we have those houses in San Antonio, but for the average person, you can do pretty good, but you're still not going to live good on $10 an hour. So what I like to do moving forward is highlight some of the, I find it here on my phone, some of the comments from the last video. Now, in the last video I did on what did I do it on? Let's see here. I lost my screenshot. On the housing market scam, right? And Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z, we're all a part of it. We're all subject to that inflation that's hurting us all. And so one individual here said, looking for a fight, men in jeans built this country, men in suits destroyed it. Now, as a sales rep, I don't know, would sales be considered a trade, like a tradesman, I don't know. I would probably say no, it's a skill, but is it a trade like an auto mechanic or, like my daughter being a hairdresser, my one son being a coder or being HVAC, and that's really where I push my kids. I believe that college is good for certain degrees, but the majority of degrees out there now are, they're just not worth it. And I don't know if you guys watch South Park, but there is a funny episode where Randy stove broke, right? And he had to hire somebody, or he tried to hire somebody to come and fix it. But everybody was so used to apps and not doing anything, nobody knew how to fix anything. And so now the richest people in South Park were the handymen, the HVAC guys, the plumbers, because they could charge whatever they wanted because nobody knows how to fix anything. So in my opinion, the trades, like the one guy, Dirty Jobs guy, there's a lot of trades jobs out there. They're not easy. But they pay really good money, and they're never going to go away. Just like with the products that I sell, guess what? There's always going to be people that do not want to clean their own toilet. So guess what? You're going to need janitors. There's always going to be people that don't want to throw away their trash or clean out trash cans or whatever. That sounds gross, but there's a lot of money to be made in that. And so what do you think? I know that men in suits have done some great things, but it seems like lately, since COVID, the wage gap, or the wealth gap, not wage gap, the wealth gap has grown exponentially to where I don't even believe there is a middle America anymore. There's just there's not middle class. There's just down here, poor to here, and then there's the ultra rich. Another comment here: we already don't own anything. Pay off your house and not pay taxes, and you will be removed. Pay off your vehicle and don't pay for insurance, you can't drive. You already own nothing. Guess what? And you'll like it, right? So, great comments from the last video. And then also, as I said before, moving forward, I want to always try to end this something in the videos with something funny. This particular one is still pertaining to the topic at hand, which is work-related crap, but it's done very funny, and I tend to agree now. Since I don't work in an office, but I used to have a cubicle job back in the late 90s, and I absolutely hated it. But it took that to make me realize what I wanted to do in life, and outside sales was for me, not sitting in an office. So to those that do it, hey, kudos to you. I don't know how you do it, but I've been around them enough to see offices and see what goes on in these offices, and this is actually really funny.
This is a typical day working in corporate America. Our company returned to the office, which means I wake up 3 hours earlier now. Sitting in traffic is a great way to clear my head to start my day. As I make my way into the office, my coworkers and I exchange the standard corporate greeting. At 8:30, it's a race to the bathroom. If I get there too late, all the stalls are already taken. It's time for our town hall meeting. Good news, we survived another round of layoffs and will be absorbing more work with no additional compensation. If you work for a micromanager like me, you've mastered the art of looking busy. Office jobs are all about theatrics and ass kissing. Because someone clicked on an IT phishing email, I have to sit through an hour seminar during my lunch break. Instead of raises this year, there's going to be a pizza party, but I can't attend because I sent an inappropriate GIF on Teams. When I get home, my boss immediately needs me to hop back online. I can't wait to relive this day for the next 40 years.
I think I went through that same phishing email training. We had to go through those, but that is funny. Again, kudos to y'all who are able to work in a job, but or work in an office job, because I know y'all have to deal with that all the time and the type of shit that goes on with it. But with that said, that brings us to the end of the video. If you've made it this far, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell notification or the bell button to be notified of future videos when they come out. And still doing the Wednesday vlog, doing a video on Sunday. Those of you that are following the channel because of the Supra restoration, I have a little update video coming out this Sunday. And again, it's under the playlist Supra Resto. So make sure to follow me and subscribe to the channel so you can watch that video coming out on Sunday. So with that said, I thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.